Greetings, this is Jeff with Enjoy Life Traveling. Today we are on Icon of the Seas and we're going to do a tour of the casino. We're currently on the smoking side of the casino and I will be filling in, the machines are off now, but I will go back and the machines that you can't see what they are, I will go ahead and put some pictures in there or video so you can see what they are when they are on and being played. So you're not going to miss out on anything there. You're also going to see the table games on here. Was able to get all that, so you can find out what games are available there. I will also be pointing out the games that I think that you might want to take a look at if you're trying to gain points rather than to hit huge jackpots. Now, earlier we passed Buffalo Gold. That is definitely one that I would recommend at the lower level there, 60 cents. It's not one you're going to hit any huge jackpots on, but it generally lets you play a bit, lets that money stretch a little longer so you can get those points you need. Now, you've probably heard me say this if you've watched any of my other videos, but video poker, if you know what you're doing, is probably the least volatile games you can play. But if you don't know what you're doing and not using proper strategy, you're going to lose. So the other thing to keep in mind with that is that when you're playing the poker machines, it is $10 to get 1 point, whereas on the slot machines, it is $5 to get 1 point. Doesn't matter if you win or lose, but that's the way that goes. Now, you've probably noticed that this video is a longer video than what you normally see for a casino tour, and that is because this casino is quite large, and I wanted to make sure I got everything on it. So bear with me, because I'm going to bounce back and forth between the tables and the machines because they are spread out. We're on the smoking side, and there's tables here, and there's tables also on the smoking side. To the left, I'm on the right side as I walked in that particular door. So kind of keep that in mind. And then when you get into the non-smoking side, again, there are more table games right there. So you can have your fun at the tables, whether you're a smoker or a non-smoker. One of the things I really liked about this casino is that there were several games that I like to play in this casino. Obviously, they've got a lot more games, and so they can do that. But yeah, they had several games that I enjoy. Now, I ended up really focused on one game that was the lowest volatility one, and it allowed me to get a whole lot of points. And because of that, I'll probably make the signature level here, which will mean that I'll get a better room there when it comes to the tier cruise. Of course, got a cruise from just this casino. By the way, this game here you're coming up on, this is one that's worth playing at the lower levels if you're trying to find one. But, back to the tiers areas, when you get to the signature, it allows you to get free internet for the same way that the drink package would work. You would get free internet for all your cruises during that period that you are signature. So that's really nice, obviously, doing the YouTube channel when I get that point. That's going to really help out as far as being able to access the internet versus the couple of days that I get with the status that I have as far as being Diamond Plus and getting 2 free days there, because the internet's fairly unreliable, and sometimes it takes a very, very long time, like almost 12 hours in some cases, to try to get a video to upload, depending on what's going on with it. It can really be pretty rough. So that's why you sometimes will notice that when I'm doing some of the videos and releasing them, I'll be a little late doing it because I'll use the editing software with my online time, make the video, and then turn around and try to upload the video and just have fits trying to get it to upload proper. I've spent literally all night trying to get a video to upload, trying to nap and then wake up, and 6 or 7 in the morning I can finally get it, or sometimes I have to completely restart it. It just doesn't go. So that's why you see a little bit of inconsistency there, but I'm going to try to, going forward here, sort of stay up on it so I've got videos well ahead rather than to try to do them sort of as I go. So that'll put a little bit of a delay between some of the cruises I've taken, but that's the reason I'll be doing that, is so I can be hopefully a little more consistent on getting videos out on certain days like I've been doing. So far it's been Monday and Thursday that I've tried to, and if things go well, hopefully I can even increase that and have a few more videos come out. So Dragon Links, you've probably heard me talk about it. That is a game that is a high volatility game. If you hit, it can be awesome, but often you don't. I said this casino was big. I want to just kind of point out that Icon has over 370 slot machines on it is what is listed. Obviously, that can vary a little bit, and there were points on this cruise here to where there were some machines that were being worked on and going out. So and I'll kind of show you those a little bit later. But yeah, there's a lot of slot machines on here, and you should be able to find something that's going to fit your style of play, really, whether you're looking for the bigger jackpots or where you're looking to slow roll it or just something medium volatility. And again, I'll point out some of the ones that I like to play. So this wall here, this is the difference between the smoking and non-smoking casino. They do a pretty good job, I will tell you that. A lot of times when they have it split like that, you're thinking there's going to be, kind of smoky, and really my clothes never felt like they were too smoky. One of the things you'll notice when I'm putting up these pictures for the machines that were off is that there's that pinata type game where you pop the pinata. That's going to come up a lot in this video, so if I happen to repeat the same picture, I'm sorry, but there were so many of these things. That's just another one of those cha-ching games that was on the other side here. But yeah, we're coming up on showing you that pinata game that they have plenty of here in just a second. That's them. That's not a game that I have really dove into, played. I don't know enough about it. So if you got some feedback on it, I'd take that. But as far as its volatility, I couldn't tell you one way or the other because it's not one that I've jumped into. My guess is it's probably a medium volatility game just from my experience. And a lot of times I can get a feel just by looking at it. So that'd be my guess, is it's probably a medium to high type volatility game. But again, drop your feedback in the comments. I'd like to hear that. So we are still on the smoking side of the casino. And again, it wasn't that bad even when it was at its busiest. They did a good job as far as keeping it, the ventilation going. So I do appreciate that, and I kind of hope that's something they continue. Legend of the Seas, when that one comes out, that's going to actually have 2 floors of casinos. And I'm curious as to how they will do that. If that's going to be, smoking on the top level, non-smoking on the bottom. Is it more machines? Because it sounds exciting when you say 2 levels, but if it's, basically making the casino smaller, then you haven't made it bigger. You've just spread out where everything goes. So I am kind of hoping that they've actually made the casinos just a little bit bigger on some of these ships. There's definitely room, even on the smaller ones, for them to make some changes. I'm kind of hoping that they do that. But it is what it is right now, and I enjoy my time in the casino, really, no matter what the size, but it can get kind of smoky. Now, you notice that this is one of the crazy money machines. This is not the one that I tell you that you should play. That is not the lower volatility type game. That is one that's going to be at least a medium type volatility game, so keep that in mind. You'll notice there's a few machines that I wasn't able to get pictures of. They were moving some things in and out, machines that were getting worked on, so with the machines moving around, I wasn't able to really clarify what was going to be where, and you'll see some other machines later on here that they moved in when the others moved out. But even when I went back and I wasn't able to necessarily get a picture of it, it wasn't anything that was too strange. It was really just repeat games of like the Pinata game or that cha-ching game that you saw earlier. So really, you're not missing out on anything, at least at this point, that I would tell you to concern yourself with, any great machines. But again, I'll point those out. Just real quick, when you look at that Wheel of Fortune game, that is a high volatility game. They did have some of those pinball games that are popular. Most of those were where you've got to play 9 lines. I prefer the 1 line if I'm going to play it, and it's not one that I play often. And then, of course, Top Dollar. That's another one of those games that you see very popular with the bigger gamblers and the ones that put a little more money out. Now, that game there with popping the chickens, it's basically the same game as one where you're popping the pigs of almost the same name. So it is not one to concern yourself with. That is more of the pinatas there. I was going to put another picture in, and as I'm doing this, I'm going, you've already seen the pinata game. You know what I'm talking about. These games here, I've had some success. This is in the smoking section. They got some in the non-smoking that let me play. It's definitely a medium volatility game. It can take you at some points, but at other points, some of the hits can be pretty lucrative. So that's a game that I would tell you it might be worth a look if you want a medium volatility game that might let you play a while. Just know that it's medium volatility, so it can definitely have some longer stretch before you see a hit. Keep that in mind. Now, you might notice that we are, coming up on 10 minutes into the video, and we are still in the smoking section. And again, there's a substantial non-smoking as well. So that's something you might want to keep in mind there. By the way, this game here, the Phoenix Link, I do have a video out on that. You may want to get a look at that, see how it plays. It is kind of a medium-ish volatility game. The hits can be fairly lucrative, but again, it is medium volatility, and I thought I'd put one of those out there rather than just all the lower volatility games. But we're actually going to be coming up on the game that I played the most. It was one of those that I had done some research on a walkthrough and found that this machine was there and said, okay, I recognize that this is probably going to be a lower volatility game that lets me play it. I did a little research before I got on the ship, and I was correct. So obviously I try to put that in my videos, give you a little bit of information on them. But also I use other people's if I haven't been on the ship yet, so I know. And that's kind of how I hope you use my videos, is to be able to do a little bit of research and see what games you want to play, so you go in there with a little bit of a plan. Because that really does make a difference there. If you have a plan, you have a better chance of walking out of there without, losing more than what you intended. Again, doesn't matter. You're in a casino. They're there to take your money. So you're going to have those rough moments. But again, going in with a plan gives you the best chance of success. And again, not over gambling something more than what you intended. Now, I say that I didn't necessarily plan on gambling on this one as much as I did, but because the machines was letting me just play and play and play with minimum losses, I was able to just rack up the points, and I took advantage of the opportunity, knowing that I had a chance because of that to get the signature, which that internet was important to me, and that's why I say that. So in my situation, I'm a little flexible. I just, on another cruise, will take it easier. All right, so real quick here, this game that's on the left there, that one there, that Hot Tamales, that is kind of a second generation, I guess, from the main one that I talk about. It is an okay one to play. The hits are not as lucrative, generally speaking, as the original, but it is one that is kind of kind of that low to medium, again, a step up from it. But the game that's coming up here, again, same basic premise, the Chili Mania here, Double Chili Mania, that game is the one that really let me rack up the points. I kept the bets low, and it just let me play and play and play and play and get the hits. So I ended up with, over 5,000 points, almost all of it on that game. And really, I did not lose that much. It was just a couple hundred I lost on that game. It was when I moved around and played the medium volatility games that I ended up in trouble. But I mean, I spend so much time in the casino, sometimes I just have to look at another machine rather than to play the same ones. So even that kind of gets me because I play so much. So those two games are basically the same games that are just the opposite of it here, but we are coming up on this Devil's Lock. That at the minimum bet, you can only max out at $660. That's really one of your first clues that it is not going to be a high volatility game. Is if you really can't win as much on it, that'll tell you a lot. So on that one there, that'd be one of those where if you want to play at the minimum bet, it's really not a bad game to get in there and play. It's just a solid option if you're trying to stay lower volatility and just want to mix up the games a little bit, because I can tell you just from firsthand experiences that it's very easy to be playing the same game and be doing, really well at want to stay, but you start getting kind of a little bored because it's the same thing. And so a lot of times boredom gets mixed up with betting higher. You're going, well, it's, that's the machine's paying. Let's try it at a higher level. That'll make it more exciting. And yeah, it's exciting as you lose your money twice as fast. Even a lower volatility game, when you go jumping up and changing the volatility of it, you're spending your money, 2 and 3 times, sometimes even more, versus just switching games. You're generally better off just switching to another lower volatility game and coming back. And I realize that can be hard because somebody else gets on your game and you're afraid maybe they're going to hit the bonus, but you kind of have to get out of that mindset. If you've ever chased before, just understand that that's what you're doing again, is chasing again. Is you're sure it's going to hit, and then you end up, it doesn't hit, and you've put more money in than what you plan. Can you believe we're 15 minutes into this video and we still have not left the smoking side of the casino? Yeah, this is a pretty large casino here. However, I am getting ready to make that move over to the non-smoking so you can see all the games that are available. And again, there are several games there that are different from one side versus the other that I really like playing, and I'm eager to show you what those are. There is also a small high limits room on the other side there, and I'll show you that along with where the casino host desk is. as well as the cashier. So I'm going to head across right now so you can see that. I also wanted to point out, I had said in an earlier video how you can, as you get your points, you can cash it in and use it for some other things. That portion has also changed. While you can still do it, the limit is up to where you have to get 10,000 points to be able to convert that into using it for dining and such like that. So not very lucrative in that regard unless you're just a really high roller. But I did want to make note here that there has been some changes. And I kind of expect there to continue to be some changes as far as how Royal Caribbean does things, whether that be their loyalty program or whether that be their casino program. So stay tuned as I learn them and things change. I'll do my best to make sure you have those. This is the casino host desk. There's usually a couple people here. There's also the QR code where you can scan to find out what that month's promotions are. That does change, so make sure you keep an eye on it. Again, this is the high limit room, so to speak. Not much to talk about. There's not much to it. Obviously, you got your table games over here that are going to be a little higher limit for those that like to do that. But I'm going to show you those machines that I was talking about here also in a little bit because they had a whole bunch of machines and I was trying to find out what was going on since this was my first time on this ship. And you can kind of just see them there to your left that are all off, but they're also banded together. So they were kind of working on some machines. And really, when you're doing some new machines, those same manufacturers, it's just a matter of some programming changes. So it's not necessarily like you have to bring in an entire cabinet in some cases to make a change. And then also, obviously, if you're working on the game. So the games that are coming up here, that's what I'm talking about, is that those were shifted out to the floor. Some others were moved back to be worked on, and games were being added. And so when I said 370 slot machines, that can vary from moment to moment because they may add a few, take a few away as they're being worked on. But again, lots of slot machines, lots of opportunities to enjoy. I'm going to pop over here to the casino desk just real quick here to show you the QR code that I'm talking about. Some of the stuff that's on there that's listed can be a little bit confusing, but if you just hit that QR code, that will get you where you need to go and find out what games are going on for that sailing as far as the instant cruise certificates. And that is something that changes depending on the point values that you're at. So if you're anywhere near that next tier, make sure you check because it may be worth spending that little extra or risking spending that little extra to make sure that you get the best offer available to you. Yes, you get more piñata machines on the non-smoking side as well. They are really proud of these games, and there are several. So if you love this game, congratulations. You can go hog wild with it, or piñata wild with it. If Rake and Bacon wasn't high enough volatility for you, they've got a newer version there for you to waste your money on. Yeah, sometimes you can get some great hits, but man, that game has got to be the most frustrating thing. You'll watch that pig just huge and thinking, oh gosh, it's going to pop. And I'm telling you, it has nothing to do with that size of that pig. Is just an enticement for you to think that it's close. Do not use that because they can make that pig go as big as they want, as fast as they want, and it may be nowhere near hitting. And when I was early into learning the games, that one got me, and I was so frustrated with it. And that was probably the game that put me to where I'm like, I'm going to research these games. I'm going to know what's what. And that's where I started, looking into the manufacturers and finding out what the manufacturers' ratings were of each of the machines. So all those companies are out there. Some of them put more information out than others. But if there's a game that I haven't mentioned or you haven't heard me talk about and you're trying to find out, if you know the manufacturer, you may be able to find that on their site. And some of them rate them, like 1 to 3 or 1 to 5, or it'll simply say low volatility, low to medium volatility, medium to high, and high volatility. So, and some of them even have a 6th level there. It's not available, again, for all manufacturers, but it is helpful. And then also just using, Google or some of the AI programs that will search. I know that some people will not use an AI program to save their life. And I get all that, but I'm saying for those that do, that is something you can also use to get some general ideas as to if a game is a lower volatility or a higher volatility. Again, when you're looking at opinions, you have to be a little bit careful because there's that difference between what's fact and what the opinions generally are. And so that's what I'm looking at is I'd want facts as much as possible. Yeah, I do value other people's opinions, but again, if the manufacturer will tell me exactly what that thing has been doing, the casinos don't have just free run to make them as loose or as tight as they want. That is a misconception that is out there. There is some parameters that just must be followed, and while they do have some ways to tweak it, a low volatility machine has only so much wiggle room that a casino can go in and change the volatility on, because it has to stay a low volatility machine and follow what the manufacturer is doing. But again, there is a little bit of wiggle room for them for the casino to make some changes and do things to make it more in their favor. And granted, you're on a cruise ship here. You should probably expect that. They're giving away free cruises, where they're including your entertainment and your food and some level of drinks. So it really only makes sense that they're going to have to just not give away the exact same as, say, a land-based casino that may give you a free room, but unless you're a really high roller, a lot of times your food there's limited as what you're going to get for free on that. Just the overall bang for the buck, so to speak. It's also probably worth noting here is while the bar is here just to my right, I'll get to that. The service as far as going to the machines for drinks was pretty slow, pretty inconsistent. I think that particularly if you're on the smoking side and the bar is on the other side, that's a bit of a long walk. And a lot of people don't want to leave their machine. So that is something to keep in mind there. You can even bring your own tumblers and do your own thing there, get your drinks, fill up your tumbler. One or two times got a big one and kind of make it last because, that was really stood out to me. Now, the bartenders at that bar are outstanding. They did a fantastic job. But the servers, again, they're friendly. Don't get me wrong. They're very friendly. But as far as trying to keep track of where everybody was at or to get that drink, it seemed like there was enough of them. But again, this is a huge casino. So if I'm going by what I saw as far as the the service level, I would say it was probably they don't have enough people, or maybe there was some training issues. I don't really know. I've gotten to the point to where I do those Fosters, those big cans, just because I'll put a few limes in them, kind of smooth it out a little bit, because it's not a fantastic beer, but it's a decent beer. But it's so big that it lasts, so I don't have to necessarily wait as long to try to get another drink. I wasn't really sure if I was going to keep this policies place on the video here, but I decided I'd go ahead and do it. I don't know that it's even something that can be read, but it's going to be just a few seconds here, really. So if you can pause the video, great. If I've wasted 10 seconds of your time, I'm sorry. I'll go ahead and move on. But I thought I'd go ahead and put it in there for those that wanted to read that. Obviously, I did not spend a whole lot of time doing that myself there. So I liked the idea that they had some of the games at the bars, your poker games, but it didn't take up the entire bar, so there was just places to sit and relax, and I appreciated that. And also, you kind of saw behind me, there's a place that you could also sit. It wasn't directly at the bar, but it was fairly good, and the bartenders, there were plentiful when I was there. Again, I cannot tell you enough as to how impressed I was with that staff, and if Nicky happens to be at that bar, get to know him. He was absolutely fantastic, and Francis is also really good. But really, I got to tell you, all of them deserve praise. They had a fantastic group of bartenders no matter where you were at. So you really couldn't have asked for more as far as who was working that bar, and there was plenty. I did want to touch on a few games that I passed up earlier in the non-smoking section, and that would be Little Shop of Horrors. That's a lot of fun. It's a medium volatility game, but it is a lot of fun, as well as Press Your Luck. A lot of times those games that are attached to a brand are a little bit rough on the volatility, much like Wheel of Fortune has got that reputation. But I just really enjoy those games, and I've had a lot of fun playing those. Again, medium volatility, but enough fun to where I'd like to spend some time on those. And if there's not a low volatility game and they've got those games, I'll definitely play, because they're just too much fun. They really are. I would still tell you to keep the bets low, but that's that. I brought up those games before here to where the Lion Links are. That's also a pretty good game to play. I'm hoping to put out a live game showing how that one plays so you can see it. Again, it's not a backup plan. This one has a lot of options, this casino does, but so many don't. Mystery of the Lamps, that's a fun game. Again, you're talking a medium volatility game there, so you're going to want a little bigger bankroll if you're wanting to play. And also keep in mind when you're playing on a ship, it's a little different than being at a land casino, because on the ship you're there for several days, and you're going to probably spend every day, or almost every day in the casino if you're a serious gambler. To whereas if you are doing the land-based casinos, if it's something close to home, you go there and then you come home that night. Or if you go to Vegas and you go there, for the weekend or whatever, you're also trying to catch the shows. And you're not saying you're not going to play every day, but you're probably not going to spend a week there. A lot of people will spend, a certain amount of time there, a few days, and then move on to something else. Again, all the shows, a lot of times you're near, like say the Grand Canyon if you're in Vegas, or, any of the other places. You're looking for an opportunity to enjoy the overall area. Whereas here, it's just, I feel like, generally speaking, when I talk to people spend a lot more time in the casinos here. And I think that they get the impression that the casinos here are much rougher at sea. And they're really not much rougher at sea because, again, the volatility of the machines are the volatility of the machines. So a medium volatility machine is the same, generally speaking, as a medium land or sea. There's very little that can be done. And there is not a time to where these games are shifted to where if it's busy or not busy, day or night, that the volatility changes. That is not how it works. They don't even need to. It's a casino. They're there to make money. Those machines are already programmed to make money. They do not need to do anything special during those times for them to make their money and pay off. So if someone tells you that they don't play during the day or during the night, or they play games that are on an end or whatever, that's stuff that is a myth. So don't buy into it. Play when you want to play and don't worry about it. If you're thinking, well, I never hear as many people yell when I'm playing in the morning, well, there's not as many people in the casino. So if not as many people are playing, not as many people are winning. There's just less people in the casino to be yelling. So don't let that be a part of your strategy there. You do what you want. Buffalo Gold, I brought that one up before. It is available here in the non-smoking side as well. Wonder 4, again, that has multiple games, and the Buffalo game will be a part of that. So an option to play multiple games at the same time and win on multiple lines. It usually does affect a little bit of your volatility as well as how you win, since it's kind of spread out that money. But it can be fun, and I know people enjoy that. I just wanted to make a quick comment on that. We are getting to the point to where we're almost done with this video. So as I wrap up on probably the last, 10 or so machines, I did want to say first, thanks you for watching. And so it's very much appreciated if you would comment, give it a thumbs up. Any of the things that you do here to show that you're interested in the video and that it's worth watching, if that's the content that you're looking for, really helps the channel. And I'm a small channel trying to grow. I try to put a little bit more information in there and make it as learning as possible, rather than just, putting some background music in there and showing some machines that are just off. So when I go back and do the voiceovers on these, that takes a lot more time than to just walk through and start pointing at machines and saying something and put a little background music going in the back. So I hope that's appreciated. And again, I always look at your comments. So if you got some feedback, I'll be looking for that. So again, like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff here. The games you're looking at here are high volatility games. I know that they are fun, but I would stay away from them. Just my 2 cents. If you want to do it, you need to have a bigger budget than what you're going to do on the lower volatility games. So even if you're playing at the lower bets, it'll take your money faster. Keep that in mind. Generally speaking, I would tell you that you want to be playing at about 10% of what your budget is, but you need to look at that as a whole and not just being at a casino for one day, but for the entirety of the time that you're there. Another quick thing I wanted to bring up is that depending on your stops, this casino, as far as the slots, they're open 24/7. Now, in some ports, say like Cozumel, they can't. They have to close during that time. But I love the fact that this casino is open when they're at sea days. So again, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.